Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Williamson County School Board, the June 18th meeting. The first thing on the agenda is the call to order and then recording of attendance. If board members, if you go ahead and record your attendance at this time. Okay, and we have 10 present. Very good. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, then a moment of silence. And if you'd please remember, Mr. Jack Walton and Houston Nairn both were County Commission Chairman, and just remember them as they have passed away recently. So if we would, I'd like to have Matt Erickson and Ron Hooper come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a big crowd tonight. If you'd all please move in so we can make room for the other people coming in. Thank you. We now have the items of particular public interest. We have one person who wishes to speak with us this evening, Mr. Jason Grant. If board members are okay, we'll give him 3 minutes. Mr. Grant, come forward and your name, address, and your subject, please.
Thank you, board. Good evening. I come to you unprepared in terms of a prepared speech, but motivated by events that happened last Tuesday evening in the City of Brentwood Council meeting. Some of you may or may not know that the City of Brentwood had before it a proposal to spend up to $220,000 of taxpayer dollars to study whether or not the city should have its own school board system outside of Williamson County Schools. I was one of 2 speakers that night that spoke against the city actually conducting that study. 2. And there were double-digit speakers. My justification was simply math. The city passed its own budget that evening at $38 million, and thankfully, due to my request from Ms. Holman, I was able to get numbers that showed that just operational budgets for the county school systems for 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018 would more than double what the annual budget for the city would be. That's not counting the capital expenditures or the bond debt service that would be required to actually acquire the facilities. That's just the operational costs for the schools. I bring this to your attention as board members because one of the things that was resoundingly clear, not only from the members that spoke, but also from some of the comments that came from the city council members, was that there is a communication breakdown between municipal government and the county school system, and also at the county level and the municipal government level. And again, I can't fault some of the efforts of the school system to actually get the word out, and some of the roundtable discussions that are held. There were parents in the audience that didn't know that in the capital improvement plan that there even was a capital improvement plan to begin with, but in the capital improvement plan that Brentwood Middle School was scheduled to be demolished and rebuilt. Many of the parents that promoted this idea and actually got the study on the agenda are in the Brentwood Middle and the Brentwood High School and Scales elementary districts. And between the fear of having to be rezoned to grassland and the fact that their children, according to some of them, do not have enough time to use the restroom in between classes because the hallways are so overcrowded that they cannot make it to the bathrooms and get to class in time before they'll be deemed late. On top of the fact that lunches begin at 10 o'clock, which is, again, not uncommon in terms of what you've heard before from some of the parents, but in terms of the information that's out there, there's incomplete information, and the dialogue needs to be continuous. I do apologize for going over time, Mr. Anderson. But I implore you as board members to go back to your respective communities, go back to your respective municipal leadership, and engage them. They do not ask questions like they should. They are busy just like you all are. And I think it's much needed to help alleviate some of the confusion, to enhance the intergovernment relationships, and help dispel some of the rumors, the myths, or otherwise that continually, at least in my community, have perpetuated to potentially spending $220,000, in my opinion, wastefully, to conduct a study that could be alleviated with just a little bit more communication. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, that was the only person who signed up to speak this evening, so we move to our approval of the agenda. I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda. We have a motion from Mr. Mitchell, second from Mr. Cash. Any items that need to be changed, adjusted, removed, added, etc.? Okay, I see none. If you, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Wimberly, you need to speak.
Are we preparing to vote on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I
Well,
hear...
no, just the approval of the agenda first. So, but you
What?
go ahead now. We have to approve the agenda, and then we approve the consent agenda items separately. Go ahead.
Well, I like the agenda, so I'm all in favor. So do I need to make my little statement?
Either way, you can go
Okay.
ahead and make it now.
Well, then I somewhat prematurely state that I have a relative employed by the school system and certify that I will vote in the best interest of the school district.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we have a motion and a second. You can use your machines to record your votes then, please, for the approval of the agenda.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion for that. We have a motion from Mr. Welch. We have a second from Ms. Garrett. Any? Mr. Mitchell. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, Elliot Mitchell, state that I also have a relative employed by the school system and certify that I will vote in the best interest of the district.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, discussions on this? Okay, I see none. If you go ahead and vote for the consent agenda. I'm sorry. Ms. McGraw, I'm sorry.
I have a question. If I have a question on one of these issues, if I want to make a statement about one of the ones we're approving, do I need to ask to have it removed so we have discussion, or can I just speak to one of them?
Is it something you want to have a discussion on, or something you just want to make a statement about?
I just wanted to make a quick statement for public information on one of them.
We can give you a point of privilege if that.
Okay.
If that's all right. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to point out, we had some great discussion, brief discussion on item 4.F, which is the approval of the 2% raise in second-year classified study plan for the budget. And Ms. Holman will probably do a better job of explaining this than I did, but this district has done a great job working with the county commission to pass the upcoming school year's budget, which is the 2018-19 budget. And this item in particular was one of the, I don't want to call it a concession, but one of the ways that we were able to make that budget pass and be hopefully fully funded by the commission because of what we're doing with the school fund balance, which is perfectly acceptable and has no impact to any of our employees or their salaries. But I just want to make a note that we were able to make next year's budget work because of some of the way that we're funding things next year instead of this year out of the budget. Is that fair? Okay. So if anybody has questions about any of that, then just let us know. But I didn't want that to kind of slide through here without anyone knowing that's what was happening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If we're ready to go ahead and record your votes on the approval of the consent agenda, please do so.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
All right, thank you. When we approve the consent agenda, we approve the May 23rd school board meeting minutes. We approve board policy on second reading 1.108 on assignment. We approve the recommendations for field trip fee requests. We approve the PECA Memorandum of Understanding. We approve the 2018-2019 pay schedules. We approve the 2% raise in second year of classified study plan for the 2018-19 budget. We approve the E-Plan application for 2019 Title III Immigrant Grant. We approved Mill Creek Elementary School Playground. We approved Nolensville High School and Cumberland River Compact. We approved the Thompson Station Elementary and Middle School topsoil. We approved the Walnut Grove Elementary School Playground. Thank you, Board. Next item is communications to the Board. Superintendent's report. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. It's good to see everybody this evening. Everything's going very well in the district. We're hard at work getting ready for next year. The main thing I wanted to point out tonight before Mrs. Birdsong comes up is at the end of the month, we're going to have a public auction on 2 pieces of property. There is a minimum acceptable bid, so if it goes below that, we won't take it. But we're selling approximately 9 acres next to Sunset Middle School and approximately 15 acres right next to Jordan Elementary School. Kevin Fortney is the person that's working on that project, and any attention that could be given to this proposed sale would be appreciated by everybody in this audience. That being said, I'd like to call Carol Birdsong forward to help us recognize some fantastic folks in our district.
Thank you, Dr. Looney. Tonight, board members, we are celebrating athletics. And this year, our students and teams earned 12 state championships in the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association Spring Fling events. We are starting at Brentwood High School, and this is Evie Calhoun and Georgia Fisher, and they won the girls tennis doubles in the large division. Bill Jane is their coach. The girls' whole team won in the large division as well for tennis. Again, Bill Jane is their coach. And across the road a little ways, the Ravenwood boys tennis team won for the team Division I large division. Chris Bates is their coach. We will move to track and field events. This is Catherine Coffey, and Catherine actually won 2 state championships, this one for shot put and this one for discus. Again, in the large division, she is from Brentwood High School. Her coach is Steve Wade. This is Jet Kinder. Jet also won 2 state championships, this first one in the high jump and the second in the decathlon. Steve Brock is his coach. And the boys team, track and field team 1 from Brentwood High School in the large division. Their coach, again, Steve Brock. And to Centennial High School we go. This is Avery McMullen. Avery won the state championship in girls track and field long jump. And Avery also won another state championship in outdoor pentathlon. Her coaches are Marcia Bovey and Stanley Miller. Fairview High School, not to be outdone. This is Kaylee Barty, and she won high jump in the small school division. Chris Smith is her coach. And at Page High School, this is Gigi Maddox, and she won in the 3,200 meter run, and her coach is Gary Maddox. Congratulations to all of these athletes.
Thank you, Ms. Birdsong.
Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Looney? Mr. Wimberly?
Dr. Looney, sometime in the last few weeks, the state has announced a plan for testing. What can you do to enlighten us on this plan, and how is it going to affect us?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your question. The state has made a determination about how we'll proceed next year. The state's guidance is as follows. Grades 3 through 4 will be taking the TN Ready assessment traditional paper pencil version. I will say that they're making some modifications to the paper version of it as well, which I think will make the process a little bit smoother. For example, they're going to have everything in one test booklet rather than having separate test booklets for all the assessment. In grades 5 through 8, the assessment is going to be given online. I'm sorry, is going to be given paper pencil, with the exception of science. Students in grades 5 through 8 will take the TN Ready assessment online as mandated by the state of Tennessee. And students in high school, grades 9 through 12, will take all testing online as they did this year.
So may I ask, how do you feel about this plan?
Well, as you know, I've been extremely critical of the dysfunctional assessment processes that we've had in our state for the last several years. I don't know that I have a real good reaction tonight, other than we're gonna do what's required of us, and our students are going to step up to the plate and do well. I will say that my biggest fear, and it's not about the assessment itself, it's about the value that our students and our teachers and our parents see in this test. Because we've had so many back-to-back years of process problems, this year, more so than any other year, we had students that just simply didn't give an effort. They just, didn't answer, or chose all A, or didn't come to school that day. And so I think there's a lot of rebuilding of trust that has to happen at the student and parent level, and we're in the middle because we're following the directives in the law and serving our students. So we're caught in the middle. I have concerns about the quality of the results coming in that tell us what students know and can do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. On the board chairman's report, Thursday night we talked about a retreat this fall. Just want to remind you, if you think of a topic that you would like to have included on the agenda, please send it in so we can take a look at it. Also, we have no scheduled board meetings in the month of July. Our next scheduled meeting is the policy meeting in August, but the county commission does have their budget meeting, their luncheon that we're invited to on July 9th. So if you have a chance to get by to watch the budget process happen, that's a good meeting to be at. One other thing I need to say, and I say it kind of sad, is that we have someone, this is their last meeting with us, who's been a staff member here for quite a number of years, and that's Mr. Tim Gaddis. Tim is his last meeting, so I want to recognize Tim and thank you for your service to Williamson County Schools, sir. Tim, I turned your mic on if you'd like to say a few words.
I will. If you don't, we will. Well, I just want to say that it's been an incredible honor and a privilege for me to be able to be a part of the Williamson County Schools family for these last almost 8 years now. What a way to end my career. I saved the very best for last. The other thing I would say is I'm still going to be around town, and you will have no bigger cheerleader out there than I will be. So I wish you the very best as we move forward.
Thank you, Tim. All right, our next, any questions for me? Okay, I see none. Next item is unfinished business, the TSBA, Tennessee School Board Association, initial customized board policy subscription and maintenance. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I think this is a very wise and prudent investment for this board to undertake. I do recommend approval.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion on this? Okay, Ms. Emerson with the motion. Anyone like to second? Second. We have a second from Ms. McGraw. Any discussion? Okay, I see none. We have the superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes then, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The first item under new business is attorney fees, and Mr. Golden, I'd like to call on you for this one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all know from the discussion at the work session, Dr. Looney received a bill from an attorney for the criminal defense that we talked about. Based upon our reading of the contract, you do have that obligation to reimburse him. based upon the language that's included in the memo that's up on the board. We recommend approval.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Mr. Welch. I'd like to second it. We have a second from Mr. Cash. Any discussion or comments? Mr. Wimberly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I feel compelled to say that although I don't speak for the school board, I can only speak for myself. I think I can say with a high level of confidence, knowing my colleagues here, that if at any point we felt that Dr. Looney had done anything appropriate toward a student, a parent, or anything, that we would have reacted differently than we did here. But it was clear from the very beginning when this was brought to our attention, based on information that we have that is not necessarily in the public domain, that Dr. Looney not only did nothing wrong, but reacted in a way that brought a difficult situation under control. So, and we appreciate that, or I appreciate that, and I'm quite sure my colleagues do as well. I guess it just still bothers me that this happened in the first place, and that there hasn't been an acknowledgement from the city of Franklin or others who were involved in this, that this was not an appropriate action for them to take when they filed the charge. And I think that it was a disruptive to certainly to Dr. Looney, but it was also disruptive to our school system and to our full community. And I feel like we all deserve an apology.
Thank you, Mr. Wimberly. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would echo Mr. Wimberly's comments. I think I definitely agree with his sentiment and opinions. I would like to state that if there's a method or a way for us to try to recoup the cost of this fee from the municipality or the department of that municipality that has made this necessary, I would surely support that effort.
Thank you, sir. I'm not going to put Dr. Looney on the spot for recommendations, so you'll need to vote your own consciences on this without his recommendation. If you would go ahead and record your votes, please, at this time.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
All right, thank you, board. The next item, or items, are the 2017-2018 school board budget. We have 5 different items here. Dr. Looney, would you like to speak to them in general, and then we can go to each individual one?
Yes, sir. We had a lot of robust discussion about these topics or these items at the work session. The first 3 items there relate to end of the year business, reconciling various line items in the budget. Mrs. Holman can answer specific questions for you if need be. The last 2 items are a little bit different in that they relate to some sort of state requirement and or action. As an example, the last one is for a grant for us to implement a pilot program in a learning management system. The second to the last one deals with the pre-K program and the reimbursement process for that, as I recall it. Mrs. Holman can answer specific questions, but please consider my words now as a recommendation for the passage of all 5 of these.
Okay, and we need to vote on each one individually since they do involve money. So the first one is intra-category transfer, general purpose school fund amendment. Anyone like to make a motion on that one? Motion from Mr. Welch. Any seconds? We have a second from Mr. Mitchell. Anyone have any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, I see none. If you go ahead and record your votes, you do have Dr. Looney's recommendation on this one.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
The next one is the intra-category transfer central cafeteria fund amendment. Anyone make a motion on this one? Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Cleveland. We have a second from Ms. Garrett. Any discussion on this item? Okay, I see none. You have the superintendent's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The third item is intra-category transfer extended school program fund amendment. Anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Ms. McGraw. We have a second from Ms. Durham. Any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, I see none. You have the director's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes now, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The next one is general purpose school fund amendment for pre-K training and curriculum. Anyone like to make a motion for this one? We have a motion from Ms. Garrett. We have a second from Mr. Cash. Any questions, comments, discussions? Okay, I see none. You have the director's recommendation. If you go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The fifth one is general purpose school fund amendment for state grant to Renaissance High School to attend a conference for learning management system. Anyone like to make a recommendation on this, a motion on this one? Yes, we have Ms. Emerson with the motion, and we have a second from Ms. Cleveland. Any further discussion? Okay, you also have the director's recommendation. If you'd go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Ms. Holman, you did an excellent job. You didn't have to speak. I had your mic on. Didn't have to use it. All right. Next item is the 2018-2019 school board meeting dates. Dr. Looney.
Recommend approval, sir.
Okay, we have our list of our policy and our work session and our board meeting dates listed. Anyone like to make a motion to accept these? We have a motion from Mr. Welch and with the second. And we have a second from Ms. Emerson. Any discussion on these dates that we have listed as our meeting dates? I see none. You have the director's recommendation. Go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. The next item is board policy on first reading, 3.402, student transportation management. Dr. Looney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. This proposed policy relates to new state law as to how we will operate transportation systems. There are very specifics in the law. Mrs. Osbricks can provide additional detail. This is really just a function of us being compliant with what the law requires.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion on this one? We have a motion from Mr. Welch. Anyone like to second it? Ms. Emerson has seconded it. Any comments, discussion, questions? Okay, I see none. You have Dr. Looney's recommendation. If you'd go ahead and record your votes, please.
Your vote is 10 yes, 0 no.
Okay, board members, we have reached the end of our agenda. If it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, I'd like to call this meeting over. Are we all good with that? Give the crowd plenty of time to clear out. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good evening.